Thank you, Urban. Good evening to everyone. Uh, Introduction has already been given by Mr. Urmil. I will start that last week had been a little roller coaster kind of a thing for IRCTC as far as the market is concerned. While I completely understand that you have multiple questions in your mind and of the recent developments that have recently happened, before I give you a brief about the two major developments that has happened last week, let me assure you once and again that your company is sailing with the high spirits, enthusiasm is very high, and word
The conference is now being recorded.
many services of the IRCTCs are reviving back, and gradually the impact of COVID-19 is going, and soon it is going to leave permanently from our lives. With this remark, I will first discuss about the news that has been posted on the SEBI portal also, that is termination of catering contracts. We all know that the lockdown was announced by Government of India. It was from 22nd of March, and at that time many trains were running. Operation of all the train was put to an halt. So the trains did not resume their operations till July. It is only in the month of July. Of course, we had a Shramik session in between, but that is not a normal business. These trains started operation in the month of July, that too with a limited kind of a catering, where we were supplying only with the pad items or the RTE kind of a food. While we were doing it, gradually more and more trains kept on being added every month, and these trains were ordered as a special trains. They were not ordered as a normal trains as we used to have earlier. You can see their nomenclature, their numbering pattern is also different. So when this was happening, by the time we had already got 400 some odd trains with us, so out of which 283 trains are running with the pantry cars, and 200 trains are running with the train side vending. One of the catering association went to High Court, Madras, seeking some direction to grant an interim order for the special trains. Actually, they wanted the Ministry of Railways to allow them to provide the catering services for these special trains on the reduced license fee, which is not a normal kind of a thing. And while the High Court has rejected the interim relief, but at the same time, Honorable High Court directed Ministry of Railways to pass an order and dispose of their representation. While disposing of their representation, Ministry considered an opportunity of being heard, had given them an opportunity of being heard. All the licensees who had filed the writ were called by Ministry. IRCTC was also present over there. And Ministry finally decided that all the contracts which were kept in abeyance, I repeat, kept in abeyance on account of a COVID pandemic shall be terminated. And accordingly, all those tenders which were done for those trains which have been kept in abeyance, which were not in operation, have been terminated by IRCTC. So, what is going to be the financial impact of this termination on IRCTC business? This year, the trains were not operational. They were kept in abeyance, so no financial impact. On the contrary, we have a special trains which were ordered, and we are supplying catering to such 283 those trains and 200 PSC trains. Special trains are being operated by Government of India, so IRCTC is providing services in the revised scope of work. Further, catering policy has not been changed as of now. It is still the same, so we are waiting for the normalization to happen. This is something about the first change about the termination of catering contract. Now another change has happened that we have recently announced, for which we have given adequate information to all our investors through SEBI portal also and our various social media handles, that we are starting our operation of the luxury train called Golden Chariot train, which the train has been taken over from Karnataka State Tourism Development Corporation. We were supposed to start that operation in the month of March last year. 23rd was my first maiden run, but somehow we could not undertake because of pandemic. Now we are starting operation of this train in the 2 trips. Although the inbound traffic has not been opened, we have made out a special journey for the domestic tourists, and we have been able to sell that, and the train has been sold. So we are giving a wide promotion through various OTT channels, CCTV, various everything. This train is running on a luxury sentiment. So all the facilities of the luxury segments are being followed. The destination going to cover the first itinerary Pride of Karnataka, including Goa. It will be covering Chikmagalur, Chetinath, and Hampi, this Aihole kind of a destination. The first trip is going to run for 6 nights, 7 days. It will cover. It will start from Bangalore, then cover Bandipur, Mysore, Halbet, Chikmagalur, Hampi, Aihole, and Padatkal, and finally it will go to Goa. So I can wish my team a very happy kind of luxury travel, and for my customers who have already bought the ticket from us. So this is all from my side. I think, Urmil, now we can start the question answer. Over to our investors, esteemed investors, who have so many things to ask from us.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Soumitra Chatterjee from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for the opportunity. I would like to understand the opportunity that would come from this 2S second sitting booking that is going to happen at IR, that is already happening at IRCTC. If you can help me with some data points as to what is the tickets that the capacity that IRCTC has on a daily basis prior to the second sitting option getting available, and what would be the revised capacity on a daily or an annual basis from this second sitting. And second question is on the convenience fee. As the convenience fee on second sitting is also similar to what the sleeper class, is there a possibility that, given that average realization per passenger in second sitting is lower, eventually the government may just ask you to lower the convenience fee, given on a percentage of ticket basis, this appears to be like 7.5 to 10% kind of a range?
I will like to answer your second question first. Convenience fee is same as that of in the case of a sleeper class, and whether the government will think of reducing it, I will like to reiterate that BOD of IRCTC has the mandate to decide the quantum of the fees. As of now, BOD of the company has not decided to reduce the fee for the second class. This is a new business coming up. So, and how much is going to be the, now answer to your first question, that how much business we are going to get from the non-PRS segment? See, as I explained in other investors calls also, that the number of passengers which are coming to unreserved segment is 2 kinds of a traffic is there, that is the suburban and the non-suburban. And one is the, in the non-suburban again you have 2 types, reserved and unreserved, that is non-PRS. So in that constitutes 35% of the total traffic. That is because it is a non-PRS traffic that is coming up. Rest is MST and normal, that is suburban traffic. So in non-suburban, 35% of the non-suburban has the potential to get it converted to reserved. But all will not be converted into reserved, because we are, Indian Railways have a social commitment also. So, and social commitment of carrying the passengers also. If the thing normalizes and the normal kind of a travel is going to happen, then there is going to be shortage of coaches otherwise. So, but quite a good chunk shall be converted from unreserved segment to reserved segment.
Okay. So, when you are saying that 35% may get converted at max, but the way Railways gives the data is that second class mail express, including sleeper class, and second class ordinary. Now, is the second class ordinary the complete unreserved one, and the second sitting is categorized in second class mail express? Second sitting passengers are included in second class mail express category. I mean, if you can help me understand that.
Definition of a train. Train has a two kind of a definition: ordinary and a mail express. Depending, there is a superfast train. Superfast train में there are certain charges. So that definition does not apply here actually.
Okay.
So that is a different way of operation of the trains and deciding the punctuality levels and the priority to be given while crossing the train. So that cannot be considered while considering the reserved or the unreserved segment actually.
Sure. So, of all the trains that IRCTC is booking tickets for, which is say 2,200 to 2,500 trains, is the second sitting available on all the trains? It is uniform across all the trains, or is it like the capacity may just vary?
The GS it is mandatory for railways to have a GS in many of the trains. So, GSA was available, will continue to be available. Out of the 4-5 GSs, 2, 3, 4 may be converted, 2 may be converted into the second S. Rest may continue as a GS when the normal operation starts. This kind of a situation may happen. Because the Indian Railway has to carry these passengers also.
Okay. Sure, that is helpful. I think IRCTC plans to start few hotels also incurring capex of some 200 crores. In this case, would IRCTC be owning the land as well? And how many hotels you plan to start? I mean, how many hotels are planned in this 200 crores capex that is being outlined?
Right. Yes, we are owning the land. In fact, we are owning the land first. Then we are doing the tenders. So we are making one hotel in Lucknow. And we have also going to acquire another piece of a land nearby that, just adjacent to that land in the Lucknow itself. We are making one hotel in Khajuraho. We have bought a land in Kevadia. We have also bought land at Sabarmati front. And we are also thinking of getting the land in other places also, wherever we are going to get from the state government. Generally, we try to buy from the state government so that the land value is rightly assessed to us.
Okay. Madam, the last question is on the private train. If you can help me with the capex that would be required on a per train basis, and typically how many trains are there on a per cluster basis, and how much of that has been, IRCTC has bid for?
Second one first. That is how many trains per cluster. There are total 150 trains going to run in the 12 clusters. Each cluster has 10 to 15 trains. And how much investment each cluster will have, I will not be able to give this at this moment, because we are going to participate in the bid. This will disclose my variables to my competitors.
Oh, okay. This is helpful. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have a follow-up question, would request you to rejoin the queue. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Nikin Shah from Motilal Oswal Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity, ma'am. Just 2 questions from my side. One is on the non-ticketing revenues. How do you plan to monetize the data that the railway has currently? So any data monetization thought process do we have? That's the first question. And the second question was, we do have a lot of hotels which are listed on a platform, and we had a plan to really ramp that up, where a consumer who comes and books a ticket can also come and book a hotel as well. So any thoughts on that as well? Where are we in that journey?
Answer to your second question first. That is the hotel business. Yes, we have plenty of hotels. We have around 7,200 hotels available. Because during COVID, when we were reinventing ourselves, we realized that it is better to have a kind of a one-to-one integration with the hotels rather than having an integration as an aggregator. Because aggregator also keeps his margins. So end of the day, we are not left with many things, and the hotel is also not left with the good margins. So we developed our in-house kind of an integration model. Inventory-based module is also there, and API-based module is also there, where we are not only tying up with the groups, where they have a multiple hotels in the one group, we are also tying up with the individual hotels. These hotels are available to our customer on certain commission basis. We have decided the level of a commission from 10%, while when the hotel inventory, if it is 5-star, then our commission is a little less because the quantum of the commission comes out to be more. And when we have also tied up with the FHARI and Hotel Association of India Northern Chapter. Very recently, you might have seen some advertisement given by FHARI through their handle that now people can become our partners, and we have signed one MOU with them. So this is my answer that yes, these hotels are very much available on my website. In addition to this, the railway properties, the railway hotels are also available. All the Ginger Hotel, my own hotel, which have been inherited to us by railways like INR Puri, Rail Yatri Niwas, Havda, INR Ranchi. All these hotels are there, which we are selling on behalf of Ministry of Railways. They are already with us. In New Delhi also we have one property which is being given to Ginger Hotel.
Ma'am, what can be the size and scale of the opportunity, ma'am?
Yeah, if we are still working out, the opportunity is that we will not build up our own hotels. If an opportunity has come to us already in the form of a retiring room, where IRCTC has been given a mandate to take over these retiring rooms from Ministry of Railways, get them converted into a good living accommodation and sell it on a market price to the various operators. Those retiring rooms are also available with us in the stay option. This is as an accommodation facility available on IRCTC website, and the process is on. A time will come. To the best of my knowledge, the total inventory available in India is around 7 lakh hotels. As of now, I have only 7,200 hotels individual tie-up with me. So a day will come where the count may be many more thousands, 40,000, 50,000 in a years to come. So every year we will be getting, for every booking we are getting commission.
So 10 to 15% of sales is
Yes,
what you would
depending upon the tie-up we have.
Okay. And ma'am, on the second question on data monetization.
Data monetization we are already working because the convenience fee, 83% booking we have already achieved. End of the day, one day will come, in spite of the fact that we have a 2S with us. The bookings are not, bookings will come at some stagnant level after few days, after few years rather. So we have to explore the other resources for which the team is already working with a very high speed. Advertisement, to increase our advertisement revenue, we people have gone all the way and started promoting our inventories to them. We have rationalized our inventories rate, given a new rate. We have tied up with many agencies, made them our agents. Empanelment has increased. We have also worked upon our own payment gateway, where we are now bringing the net banking on our payment gateway also. Then very soon you will find that our contribution through iPay payment gateway to the ticketing portion is going to increase. As of now, it is around 22 to 23 crores, which will maybe double in the next year once we have net banking with us. Then this co-branding card, we are going to have a co-branded card with all the many other banks also. HDFC Bank we are tying up, Canara Bank we are tying up. So this revenue will also going to increase. Then with the Rail Madat integration through 139, again we are going to have some additional revenue. So we are working on all the money coming from the transaction, which may not be there subsequently, but we will try to bring this revenue also and leave it open. Another money from the B2C partners is also going to be there with us, and cross-selling the products to our website is also going to be there.
And ma'am, what should be the margins that one should think of? Because most of these revenues, whether it is non-ticketing revenues or whether there is growth in ticketing revenues, there is not a significant increase in cost. So is it safe to assume that the headroom of margin expansion?
I cannot comment upon. I cannot comment upon the margins. One product we try to gain by volume, because the whole of the volume margin initial will be very less, because you have to capture the market first. In advertisement, you have to capture the market first. No wonder, who knows that IRCTC becomes a DIVP for the government ads.
Right.
You can come up with your own Google ad engine. Who knows that, what is going to happen? So we are sincerely working on that. Maybe in the next years to come, you will see many changes in this platform, and revenue from these sources has to increase. There's no other option left for IRCTC.
Sure. No, ma'am, I was just trying to understand there's no cost, right, to that.
You were saying something, sir?
Ma'am, I was just saying that there is no proportionate significant cost. If advertisement revenue say doubles in 3 years, then the cost will not go up by the cost will not double in 3 years, right?
Why should cost? Only one server.
That's what I'm saying. So the margin will expand then.
Yeah, margins will also improve. Initially it will be low, but it will improve subsequently.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. I'll come back in queue.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please limit your questions to 2 per participant as we have several participants waiting for their turn. The next question is from the line of Jinesh Doshi from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. I just have one question with respect to this termination of mobile catering licenses. So, madam, after, post-COVID, if we are not going to serve cooked meals and will migrate to ready-to-eat meals, does it mean that this can result into an absolute revenue loss because you will have limited options that can be offered in ready-to-eat?
One thing, the ready-to-eat industry has gone far beyond what you and I think. As of now, when we started serving the ready-to-eat food, the options were very limited. And in the period of 3 to 4 months from we started operation in the month of July, we had very limited options. But in the January when I was looking into it, all kind of options are available into ready-to-eat. One thing. Secondly, catering policy as of now has not changed. Ministry would like to revisit. I don't dispute that because I cannot comment upon their behalf. So the turnover loss can be there temporarily, but we have to. गाड़ियाँ अगर गई हैं तो दोबारा भी तो टेंडर जाएगा ना. The trains will be re-tendered again. The model and the scope may be different, but again the tender will be there. So as of now, the policy is same. In the current financial year, the trains were terminated and the trains were not in operation. So and in RT also, the turnover may be impacted. हो सकता है turnover may be impacted, but the profit margins may be high. Who knows? Because here the service levels are different. I hope I have been able to make myself clear.
Sure, madam. And secondly, we also have to refund the license fee to this license holder. So can you share what quantum of refund we'll have to give?
Exact figure, so I don't carry with me because lot of things are yet to be adjusted. So, to the best of, just to inform you, that when the COVID was happening, we had already refunded 90% of the license fee of these trains. And when our results for the quarter 3 were announced, by that time we had already refunded for most of our catering operators. Up to December we had refunded. So those figures were taken already taken into consideration while announcing the results.
Okay. One last follow-up. This 35%, what should I say, conversion which has happened from the non-PRS to PRS category. So this decision is taken by the Indian Railways, or who's the sole authority? Do we have any say into it? I'm just asking because can this be reversed going ahead is what I want to know.
Well, I cannot comment upon on behalf of Ministry of Railways. One thing we should all appreciate, sir, that this inventory belongs to Ministry of Railways. Trains are run by Ministry of Railways. IRCTC is only interface to sell the tickets. Where IRCTC has been given a flexibility and a kind of a monopoly to sell this tickets. So, if the coaches are added, that is decision of Ministry of Railways. If the coaches are subtracted, again the decision of Ministry of Railways. As of now, to have a good social distancing and to facilitate the passenger, Ministry decided GS be converted into the second S, so it has been converted. When the situation normalizes, Ministry may think of converting few 2S back into GS also. Can be reversed also. I cannot comment upon that at this juncture. But however, generally 2S has been received very well in the market. This much I can say.
Thank you, madam. That answers my question.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and one now. The next question is from the line of Miyush Gandhi from Canara Robeco. Please go ahead.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are very much audible, sir.
Okay. Thanks for taking my question. Ma'am, my question was with regards to the payment gateway that we've operationalized. Will it be possible for you to help us understand how the financials of the revenue stream from this vertical will play out? I mean, generally we understand that payment gateways charge anywhere between 0.4 to 0.5% as a fee. So, can we expect similar kind of commission for our own payment gateway to ourselves?
I'll share what a normal payment gateway does. Then I'll tell you what the IPA is doing.
Sure.
The normal payment PG charges are charged from the credit card kind of a credit card business. When you make any transaction using credit card, normally merchant is levying you 1% of the charge. Earlier it was 1.8. Later on it has been reduced to 1% of the total transaction value. Out of this 1%, few things are shared between few. Some is shared by acquirers, some is shared by the owner of the thing, and some is to the other person. So, as an IRCTC, when the PG we were using earlier PG, we were not sharing much of that. We were only getting 0.1, not even 0.1, that too with lot of negotiation. With iPay, our own payment gateway being there, whatever we charge from the merchant, out of which, of course, some is going to be shared with the bank also, for which we have brought many banks online. And again, those banks who are ready to share more with us have been brought through tendering kind of a small quotation kind of a thing. We do this exercise periodically. After every 6 months we do. Whosoever offers us the best rate in that shared rate, we appoint them. And out of that we take we keep certain value. Certain value is shared with our partner, and we retain with good amount of a value. Same amount of a transaction, same amount of a infrastructure set. This is an additional kind of a revenue generation mechanism that IRCTC has developed. Last year we could earn around 22 kind of around 17 to 18 crores from this segment. This year, with the net banking coming in, we are going to add more in this.
Okay, fair enough. And ma'am, just related question to this, since we already have the payment gateway, would we ever consider venturing outside of just our website to other government websites?
We will certainly go. Earlier we were not having the required permissions. Now we had applied for the permissions. You will certainly see us out. We are going out with the bank.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks a lot, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tushar Bora from MK Ventures. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity. Ma'am, quickly, just a confirmation. What percentage of train services today have pantry cars or e-catering option available? I believe we have some 400 odd trains in which pantry cars are available.
Yeah.
What would be that as a percentage?
In a normal scenario, 417 trains were there where we had pantry cars. As of now, I have around 283. Total 448 pantry cars were there. As of now, I have around 200 trains where the pantry car is not available, and rest of the trains the pantry car is available.
And ma'am, that 448 would have been what percentage of total trains?
I think it is there only in the long distance trains. So out of these trains, 2,500 trains where the reserved accommodation is, the pantry car is available only in exceptional cases in the day in the other trains. But in most of the trains, you have I will not be able to answer without having the exact data. But percentage I will not be able to share as of now. Maybe subsequently I'll share with you.
Ma'am, safe to say that less than 40-50% of trains today have pantry cars, and hopefully this number should move up over the next few years. So is that a growth option for us in terms of revenue and profitability?
The number of pantry car in a particular train, in the total number of our trains may go up because Ministry of Railway had ordered new pantry cars. So that is why perhaps they wanted to introduce in the other. If we consider 10% or 20% replacement account, rest of the cars are going to be added in the other trains. But every pantry car is a loss of a one coach where the railway generates revenue. So Ministry is very cautious while placing a pantry car.
Sure, ma'am. Second, on the wallet that we've launched, I believe you mentioned that we've launched with IndusInd Bank as a co-branded wallet. If you could just help us understand what would be the monetization for that, like what would be the revenue streams?
Again, we earn from transactions. One is when the person opts for a wallet, some fees is there. That is our share. Then the person renews the wallet. That is our share. Then transaction happening, again some share is there. So these are the streams of the revenue.
So for all the non-railway transactions also we will get some commission per transaction?
We do only railway transactions. Yes, in that, on the non-railway transaction also we get.
We are introducing, right? I believe it's an open wallet that it was mentioned.
Yes, it's certainly an open wallet. And the closed wallet is only for the IRCTC purposes, for the railway purposes. But here one can buy from Big Bazaar also.
Okay, and we are looking to expand the tie-ups on the wallet, or the bank will expand rather, ma'am?
Earlier we had this wallet on the Visa platform. Now we are going ahead with the RuPay platform also. So very soon you will see our own wallet, iMudra, on the RuPay platform. We are going to expand.
Okay. And ma'am, unlike in cards where we are getting only renewal fee, in the wallet we will be getting per transaction something.
We are already getting.
Okay.
The amount though is meager, but we are getting.
But that we already have 5 lakh cards as per the number of downloads I could check.
Yes.
And so we expect this could be a significant revenue generator for us, say in a couple of years' time. Would that be a fair assumption?
Some offers being there, it could be more revenue generating also. We need to give more offers, which we are thinking of.
Okay, great. And one last, on the media side, we've set up this partnership with, or rather some offer with Z5 that's available on the website. It's a very interesting offer. If you could just comment more on what's the thought process and whether we will see more such offers coming up with other OTT players or other.
I have to open and see it again. Long time back I had approved that offer. Because some offer was there, if you give me some time, I'll get the offer again and then explain about it.
I think, ma'am, it
What the offer was?
we were getting it at a subsidized rate, Z5 subscription, getting it at a subsidized rate for IRCTC users.
They had that Z5 has tied up with us on a promotion kind of a scheme where they have shared some revenue with us. So we had started that particular scheme. Lump sum amount was given to IRCTC, so we started this business with them. And this was brought to us by our own partner in iMudra.
By IndusInd, you mean?
Yeah.
And so hopefully, ma'am, we should see more such offers coming up as you look to monetize the brand better.
You will see more offers. You will see soon monetization of our YouTube channels also.
Great, ma'am. I'll come back in queue for more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Rahul Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for so many clarification on the call. I just have 2 questions. When I see the tenders which have been floated for empanelment for various contracts on the onboarding side, are these also pertaining to the recent cancellation which we have done so that we could get them on board as the new tenders would come into play as more train starts?
See, the tenders which have been terminated, the trains were already cancelled. They were not in operation. So the contracts were not working. So we have simply cancelled and now we are adjusting their outstandings. And their dues and our dues are being reconciled. So as of now, once the railway normalizes the operation, then of course these trains will come and we'll do the re-tender. The scope of the work may change to some extent, for which we are apprehending that we'll soon get some guidelines from Ministry of Railways. Once we have guidelines and we get intimation about operation of the trains, we'll do tenders. In fact, as far as the special trains are concerned, every day we are getting 30 trains, 20 trains, which are being started. So the business segment is being added, but in other form. Not with the same number. The trains are coming with a different number, but the trains are coming.
Right. So my question was more in terms of the new tenders which we have floated right now, which are up for grabs. So these tenders are towards this new special train which are there for their short period service. Is that the case?
The short services tenders have been framed in such a manner, the moment railway resumes the normal working, so those trains, they will be given a short notice, because here the scope of the work is very different or in a very special kind and has been done only to handle the COVID situation. So once the normalcy is achieved and normal trains operation resumes, and we get a definite scope, we'll re-tender till such time. And the railway will also give us sufficient time of 10 days or 7 days to get these services back on the platform. So I think you may get a new vendors also. Or the old, because the empanelment remains the same. You will get only from 30 or 40% that we have from those only.
Right. And what would be the actual step in terms of when we move from ready to eat to cooked food category? How this decision would be taken eventually, and how far we are from that point?
The transition from ready to eat to cooked food is going to be decided by Ministry of Railways, and more than that by Mr. COVID. So
Right.
we have to see how quickly we are in normal, and we are able to feel normal after COVID. Once that situation arises, then it will be easy for the ministry also to decide on these lines.
But are there any suggestions going from
Suggestions
our
have already
side?
gone from our side.
Because we are getting very good response in tourism, which is an indication that people are accepting to live with COVID rather than trying to avoid that.
Ji. So we have sent a positive kind of a note to Ministry of
Right.
Railways. So it's for them to decide, because inventory is there, and whatever services, even if it's the revised scope, even if it is after, we are sure that we will be able to do good in that also.
Right. And I was looking at some of the tenders where for this fast food units for places like Wadi, Pandharpur, Kevadia and Vasai. These tenders suggest the MLF which is similar to what we used to quote last year for other units for Bhopal, Durgapur region. So is it safe to assume that people are expecting a similar volume gradually, and that's why we may get a similar MLF per unit, which we used to get
Had we
pre-pandemic?
reduced MLF at this juncture, then we would have reduced the scope of earning for us. So the situation gradually will normalize first in the static catering. So that is why we have kept MLF same. We have not changed the MLF. It is only in the running units where the footfall is very less. We have reduced the license fee to accommodate our vendors and hold it in their hands so that they continue with their business and provide facilities to the customers. At the same time, will be able to provide some license fee to us also. Otherwise, there is no point in having a closed unit with you. And the footfall is small and the unit is closed, then there is no point in continuing with that kind of a contract. So middle path has been arrived at by Ministry of Railways also and by us also. Even railway static units are open on restricted kind of in a restricted manner. We have not made any changes in the MLF while tendering because we have given this, we are going to this contract for a longer duration. And the situation will normalize, that is what we feel.
Right. And lastly, from the previous quarter, which is Q3, till current date, how many new trains or units would have been started?
Last time when I did a con call, it was around, I think, 1800 or 1900 trains were there. Few more trains I have received for tendering, so you can add that number. Maybe roughly we are reaching around 2000 kind of a figure.
2,000 trains.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many trains are operational from ticketing perspective today?
All are. I said other than suburban, where the traffic is completely unreserved, wherever the reserved accommodation is, it is available with us.
I mean, presently, how many of them are already in operation from booking perspective?
All I said, where the reserved accommodation is there, in the form of a second-class sleeper or AC, it is available with us. You can say suburban trains, leave suburban trains, rest of all non-suburban are with us.
Yeah, that is there. I mean to say, how many of them are operating today? As in, how many are running today?
All are operating, no? I mentioned this.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Not anybody.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Ranjit Gopal from HSBC Global Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, ma'am. Thanks for the opportunity. I had two questions. First one is actually on this. I mean, our intent to participate in the station modernization EPC kind of activity. So do we have any clarity on this or platform modernization? I think one of those two things that you mentioned earlier, I mean, in one of the earlier calls. So where are we in those tendering process, and what could be the total outlay which would be undertaken under this project? That's first question. Second question is just a follow-up on your one of your earlier comments related to when you mentioned that the catering policy may be relooked at from Ministry of Railways point of view. We obviously it's not sure as of now. So, but were you referring to the whole this relicensing process of the cancelled licenses that you're talking about, or is it more related to the overhauling of the entire the catering policy? So, just wanted to get a clarification on that, ma'am.
I will handle your first question first. That is the station development. I would like to mention that we are not into the station development activity. Our sister concern of railways, that is Indian Railway Station Development Corporation, IRSDC, is doing job. We don't have any intention to entering into this venture as of now. Right? Then answering to your second question, that is the catering policy. Yes, some decision has been taken by Ministry of Railways while cancelling the tenders, cancelling the contracts which were running in abeyance, which were actually not running and kept in abeyance. So if they are intending to change the overall, going to overhaul the complete policy or not, well, I cannot comment upon in this juncture because post-COVID situation certainly calls for some change. Standards of service have changed, footfall at the stations have changed. People have quoted very high license fee, presuming the footfall. So this calls for a change. The standard of the level of service requires different kind of services at the station. In the train, different hygiene levels are required. So ministry is looking from that perspective, from the health point of view, so that it doesn't become, once the normalization happens, and when the wait list starts and everything starts, then it does not become them it does not become something very objectionable for them to operate. Perhaps, so at this juncture, I will not be able to comment. It's the COVID that will decide, the recovery from the COVID that will decide what is going to be changed in the policy. Because we know we all are struggling. Hospitality industry has suffered the most. So let's wait and watch.
Sure, ma'am. I got that drift. So, I mean, you were pointing out to this specific instance because of COVID. So, I was actually more coming in from the 2017 or 18 catering policy, wherein we have all the rights of providing catering services in the railway network. So, that is not getting overhauled or reworked.
No, it is existing.
Yeah. So there is nothing to worry about the earlier policy. It's more to do with the COVID impact and the current set of things that we see because of the disruption, which is getting realigned or reworked.
The COVID impact certainly is going to affect us, and let us wait and watch how COVID is brought into and how COVID is now perceived because things have changed. We all are hoping for the good.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and one now. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Kothari from Alpha Accurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thanks for providing an opportunity. My first question is, can you, I'm a little bit confused on your hotel business. Can you clarify what is going to be your strategy in hotel business? Because on one end you mentioned 200 crore capex, and then you said you'll be also acquiring land at some few locations, and then you mentioned that you do not want to own the own the hotel. So I'm a little bit confused. Can you clarify what is your strategy on hotel business?
We never said we don't want to own the hotel. We have a different modalities. One is, as an online travel portal, we are committed to provide the accommodation services to our customers. Because demand is more in the industry and there are already 7 lakh hotels available in the country. This is unorganized kind of a sector. If you see Ministry of Tourism website, only 500 to 600 hotels must be there which are registered actually. So, and all other online travel portals are selling these hotels. So we are bringing these hotels on our portal on commission basis so that they can be sold. That is one part of the hotel business we do. Second part of the hotel business where we undertake certain work in the form of that retiring room at the station, the accommodation available at the station is offered to us, where we modernize it and we give it to the operator who is appointed to modernize it, operate it and maintain it for 5 to 10 years. That is another model.
So you will outsource that to operator?
We buy land. We have bought land at few places where we are constructing our own budget hotels. This is in Kevadia, in Lucknow, in Khajuraho. So the land appreciation goes to us only.
No, so on the second part you said you give it to the private operator. I mean whosoever on the bidding basis. So in the second model of undertake work in retiring room, accommodation room, how you basically then charge it? So you charge on fee basis to the railways. How you do it?
We take on this and we charge certain license fee from that guy, and we have certain margins built in that. And overall margins last year from our catering business has been 14%. So you can very well consider on the same line.
So this basically segment goes under which segment while reporting?
Catering.
Okay, this is part of catering business.
Comes under catering.
Understood. And for the buy land at few locations, that's where you have identified 200 crores of capex over next 3-4 years?
Yeah, next 3-4 years, yes, because we are going to construct 4 hotels. And there we have also given capital support of 20 crore each hotel. Of course, the cost of this capital support has been built in the license fee that is going to be given us. And some revenue share also we have taken.
And you will be managing this hotel, or you will be,
No, it's all outsourcing model, sir.
That's what I'm asking. So you said that buy land. So you'll buy land, then building will be done, construction will be done by whom?
We start from the buying a land, then we design through an architect, we appoint a consultant, do a feasibility study, Then we do for tendering process also, the consultant is on board. Then we tender it out for building, operating and maintaining.
Oh, I see. So basically no capex.
While doing that, to that operator, we provide support of 20 crores. And once they build it, and every year they have to pay us back in the form of a license fee plus the revenue share, which is our bid variable.
Understood. My second question is with reference to our main internet ticketing business, where currently the through internet booking has reached to almost like 92% or so. So my question is, how do you see this trend? Once the normalization post COVID, let's assume by next year or so, what do you think will be, in your estimate, where this number can settle?
See that. You might have heard about the GDS in the air inventory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one can think of IRCTC becoming a GDS for all these operators, because if they have to sell the inventory, these guys, all these private operators, whosoever is brought in, so unless until they go through IRCTC, they will not be able to sell it fully. Of course, they can sell it. Even if they go to MMT, so MMT again is our partner. So the train has to be shown in competition. So this internet ticketing continues to reign over there also. Because all these trains have to be sold in competition with the other trains. Unless until you see other trains, how will you see the other trains? Some API exchange has to happen with us. So this can be an additional revenue source for us. We may become a GDS for that.
So, ma'am, what we are trying to understand here is that...
Mr. Kothari, sir, I would request you to rejoin the queue for follow-up questions.
Ma'am, this is a follow-up for the same question. Can I continue?
Please continue. Let him finish.
Ma'am, basically what we are trying to understand, like currently, if I see the internet revenue, that is recovered almost around 64%. And I believe currently the daily volume is around 8 lakh. And if I see out of that 8 lakh, 3 lakh is basically 2S volume. And this is at the 45% trains are only running. So what was our question basically? Can this number, even if the 2S goes away, then also the performance of the overall booking is like 5 lakh. And in a peak time, we used to do 9 lakh. So at a normalized level, can we do something around 10-12 lakh even if the 2S is not there? And if 2S stays even 50%, can that goes up to...
I got your question.
Yeah.
The figure is going to be more than what we had last year and what we have now, because the offline mode has got transferred into online. The lot of change transition has happened. One change in addition to the second class being there. So there is going to be growth in the internet ticketing. Offline mode में say online mode में there has been a transition, conversion has been there.
बराबर है. तो मैडम वो 13-14 लाख का वॉल्यूम जा सकता है क्या?
30 डेज में जा सकता है सर. जिस दिन जाएगा आपको हम कांग्रेचुलेट करेंगे.
No problem. We will come back in queue. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
1 डेज में जाता है. गया है पास.
The next question is from the line of... The next question is from the line of Ishpreet Kaur from Motilal Oswal Financial Services. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, ma'am. Like you were saying in the previous question that the growth is going to be larger in the internet ticketing. Maybe the revenue could be close to double when things normalize and the trains are back to the 2,500 running rate. Could the margins be close to around 90% because the additional revenue would not have much incremental cost?
Let me correct, ma'am. The total contribution of the convenience fee in the last 9 months has been around 62%. Rest of the 38% has been from the other sources.
Right.
And this 38%, the way the 62% is growing, the other percentage is also growing. So
correct.
These are our actual efforts that we are doing. उसके लिए तो एक इंजन बन गया, one engine has been installed and the same engine is being used. Even if the one ticket is booked or 10 lakh tickets are being booked,
Exactly.
doesn't make much difference. But our effort lies here to increase this 38%.
Right.
That we are focusing at now.
Okay. So could this result in much higher margins than what we had seen in FY20 in the normalized time?
We are trying to, but the COVID has impacted the advertisement industry. So there the increase may not be much. Although the total contribution is going to be very near to what total percentage contribution last year has been 6.1, 39 crores. This year it has already crossed, by December it has already crossed 10. After that few more ads have come. And similarly agent commission has not been much because the ticket booking has not come.
Correct.
Integration charges, we have gone for new integrations. So integration charges have increased because we had certain time and we utilize the time for doing integrations. So you will find you have already seen the increase in the integration.
Post-COVID, ma'am,
also has increased in the integration.
Right. In the post-COVID,
and iPay is the net banking has been there. So iPay will also increase.
Got it. Post-COVID, ma'am, could we see that higher margin once things are back to normal?
We can hope for that. We are growing, ma'am. We are growing, so you will see some change.
Right. And ma'am, just in the bus segment, that we ventured now, are we doing only private operators bus booking, or is it that state-owned buses are also there?
I would like to correct you here. First, Red Bus and Abhi Bus, my partners are only aggregators.
Oh, okay, got it.
Right. They have private buses also, and they have state-run buses also.
Okay, sure. So we are going via the aggregator route.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. And ma'am, how much would be the hotel revenue for us now in the way you said that 72 hotels are listed? Apart from this COVID in FY20, how much would it have been?
I think I need to check this segment. Maybe subsequently we'll post it somewhere in the results separately.
Sure. The 7,200 listed hotels, were they 7,200 listed in FY20 as well?
No. At that time we had a different kind of attire. The hotel industry has seen many transitions. At that time we were tying up with the aggregator only. Now this direct tie-up we have done for the first time. This financial year only. We started, but we completed when we had time during COVID.
Got it. Great. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jaspreet Singh Arora from Equentis PMS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, ma'am, and thanks for the opportunity. I had one question related to the A-ticketing. So I believe we are doing 5,000 plus per day with the convenience fee average about $50 a day per ticket. So just want to understand how is this? The tie-ups are with individual airlines, and do we have like tie-ups with all of them by now? How does it work?
We have tie-up with the GDS also. Galileo is my partner, Travelport, and we have for the low-cost airlines we have an individual tie-up for all the individual airlines.
Okay. And what could be the since there is a significant gap between us and what others would be charging, which is probably 5 to 6 times. What could be, and obviously it's a good start for us in terms of the number we've reached. What could be the opportunity here, according to you? Let's say in 2 years, could this go up like 4x, 6x?
4x, 6x I will not be perceived here, but certainly I will like to mention here that we started this kind of a work very late we entered in the market very late.
Okay.
When we were there, MMT and Yatra had already taken more than 30% share of the market. So first thing is to capture the share of the market. That we are doing. We started with the 0%, now we are around 3%. And we have recently started, earlier also we have gone for international bookings.
Okay.
So just to make it more lucrative, we started the new business of our international insurance. There we had given a free insurance there as a lucrative offer. Our convenience fee is the lowest. We need to market it well, perhaps we need to market it well. Unlike MMT and Yatra and Clear Tip, etc., we are Go Vivo ki tarah. We are not in position to give cash back immediately.
Okay.
Because we are a government entity and we are a listed company, we can't throw away investors' money like that. So हम उतना market नहीं कर पाए हैं, but we are certainly coming up with a very good marketing plan for our air business. So you will see certain growth. Our target is to bring it to 2x at least this in the coming financial year. So air segment में you here in railway I have a monopoly, but in air I have competition everywhere. Every penny has to be earned. So every penny has to be earned, keeping interest of the GDS in mind and keeping the interest of the airline also in mind. So there the challenges are more than the railway ticketing. So we are conquering each and every challenge day by day. Maybe next year you will find some good amount of growth in this segment.
And the margins here are maybe over a period of time closer to what we get on our core business?
Core business is internet ticketing.
Yes, yeah.
Those margins difficult to achieve in this.
Even
here the revenue is shared between many.
Sure, okay.
Airline भी लेगा, सब लेंगे ना बीच वाले भी.
Sure. Got it. Fair point. And just related to that, I mean the second part is, are there more such avenues which are still unexplored, or that would only come up once you form up your plans of data monetization whenever it happens?
If you are talking about the data monetization of the website or through...
No, more such strategic tie-ups, offerings, are there more possibilities which are at the drawing board stage, or we have kind of exhausted much of it?
No. See, just now I have mentioned that our contribution in our core segment, internet ticketing, is the contributing the most. In that, the convenience fee is the contributing the most. But still that is 62%. In that, the leftover 38%. And in the tourism sector also, we are working very hard and bringing entire things together so that our revenue from the hotel and the bus segment increases significantly. Our air segment also does the well. And the state Tirath in the state going to start. You might have read in the newspaper that Madhya Pradesh government has come up that Mukhyamantri Tirath Yojana is going to start soon. I was reading in today's newspaper.
Sure.
In Hindi newspaper it was there. So we will be beneficiary out of that again. That is also a strategic tie-up. In Rail Neer also we are, because of summers are setting in, our revenue will increase in that segment. And in the strategic tie-up is these GDS also have international hotels with them. And they have other low-cost international airlines. So which as of now, many of them we have, few of them we don't have. But the inventory is stored directly with the agents. So we are not going in that with the B2B kind of a structure with those agents and trying to bring that inventory on our portal also. To make our portal complete, that each and everything is available and it becomes a one-stop solution for every commute, every user. Bus is there, hotel is there, train is there, aeroplane is there. So like that, we are trying to make it complete. So we are going one strategic tie-up in that direction.
Sure. Got it, ma'am. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
I think time is over now, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Who has to give him?
Ma'am, you're
not able to hear his remarks.
Ma'am, would you like to add any closing comments?
No, thank you very much for being a patient listener, ma'am. Thanks to every investor, and be rest assured that IRCTC team is striving very hard to come back from the impact of a COVID and bestow the confidence of the all the investors that you have shown in the past with us. But when you do lot of trading, then we really get goosebumps how it is happening, and we at the same time we are happy that the confidence of the investor is retained with us. So we are striving, team is working, ICTC team is working very, very hard to bring back and come out of COVID and show you all the improvements that we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. This is Urbel here. Thank you for giving us the opportunity, and thank you everyone for logging in. Have a good day ahead. Malika, we can close the call now.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of ITBI Capital Markets and Services, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.